Tonight on CTV3 News, Reyna Urbina is charged for human trafficking. Minister Tia Garcia Ramirez says there is enough evidence for a conviction. A woman is charged with 14 counts of theft linked to company funds. Henry Charles Usher declines Home Affair roles while Oscar Mira shows interest. What will be the Prime Minister's next move? And we take you to Belmopan for the 5th National Children's Parliament, where Belize's future leaders debate the Adolescent Preventative Health Protection Bill. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight on our newscast for Friday, November 14th, 2025.
We are the Public Utilities Commission. Since 1999, we have regulated Belize's electricity, water, and telecommunication sectors, ensuring quality services at reasonable rates for consumers. A lot has changed since our establishment in 1999, and so have we. To reflect our evolution and future-focused vision, we are proud to introduce our new identity, where the blend of colors show our balanced and inclusive approach to regulation, where innovation, sustainability, and trust are all equally important. Orange represents the telecommunications sector and symbolizes innovation and connectivity. Green reflects the energy sector, sustainability, and national growth. Blue represents the water sector, highlighting trust, stability, and life-sustaining resources. White symbolizes transparency and accountability, core principles of the PUC. We are the Public Utilities Commission, transitioning to a new look, but our core values remain the same: accountability, excellence, integrity, innovation, and professionalism. Our logo is more than a design. It is our visual commitment to continue to serve the people of Belize with transparency, competence, and professionalism. We are the Public Utilities Commission.
Your government is taking back ownership of our hydro dams and power generation plants, and all shares held in BEL by the foreign-owned Fortis. Belizean assets in the hands of Belizeans. Fully Belizean-owned and managed, with all local employees. Our nation's premier source of clean power generation is now in our hands. Revenues made in Belize will now stay in Belize. Remember, energy security equals economic independence. Your government continues to put Belizeans first.
Police rescued a woman who was allegedly held captive and raped repeatedly by her ex-boyfriend.
A few weeks ago, we told you about a teacher in the Corozal district who was accused of rape and sexual assault against a student. Well, tonight it's a principal that stands accused, and the student he allegedly abused is 30. A 17-year-old from the Belize district told police that her father had touched her inappropriately in a sexual manner in July before he raped her at their home on the day school opened.
Real men don't beat up women. Real men don't prey on children. Real men don't abuse and rape and terrorize. Real men uplift women and protect children. It's time to break the cycle. Time to end the violence. It starts with us.
Infrastructure that impacts lives, provides opportunities, and enables the growth of communities and country. That has been the constant mission of the MIDH. The upgrading of the Guinea Grass Road has forged a vital link between the vibrant and productive communities of Shipyard, Guinea Grass, and the rest of Belize, which allows the smooth movement of goods and services. The transformation provided by meaningful infrastructure is very real.
We had really been struggling to transport these horses on these roads, right? Since we have all the holes in the roads and stuff like that. We do not have that issue anymore, right? So now when we are delivering a house, it comes to its location in a 100% complete product, right?
Before this highway came into place, this Tower Hill to Guinea Grass highway, there was a lot of bad things going on in terms of the road. It was bad, potholes when it used to rain. People used to take a long time to come out and come into the village. And even teachers who are teaching here who have to commute find it very difficult to do their traveling every day.
Una gran diferencia, gran diferencia. En el tiempo que estaba la carretera, que no estaba pavimentada, era demasiado polvo, demasiado. Y era como más despacio, andabas como más lento porque pues no podías ir rápido. Pero ahorita es un gran beneficio, la mera verdad es, yo creo que es lo mejor que el gobierno ha hecho. Yo estoy muy feliz, muy alegre con ello.
Well, now with this highway, now we have a lot of people, traversing the village. And our people in our village who have a small business like fast food, they're benefiting from that, no? Because people stop there in the morning, have their breakfast, and they go and continue their business.
Have business been increasing? Definitely, yeah. We have realized like when it comes to our customers, right? So like we do not have the problems anymore that customer would say if they would call in, okay, where are you located, right? And I would say, we're located entrance of shipyard. And then they would say, okay, we have to travel the bad road or whatever. So that's not a question anymore.
In the past, I believe these students used to struggle, meaning going on the bus or traveling on pickup, and it took long, they reached late to their classes. But right now, the transportation is accessible and the highway is accessible. So from Guinea Grass to their destination, to Orange Rock, to the high schools in Orange Rock, it takes less time. Right now, I believe teachers, people smile because it only takes minutes to reach from Guinea Grass to Tower Hill.
Good evening. With your newscast, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Jaden Gamis. 46-year-old Reina Urbina, a resident of Orange Walk, is tonight facing multiple charges, including 2 counts of each of labor trafficking and sex trafficking. Her detention follows a comprehensive investigation conducted in collaboration with several agencies, including the ATIPS Police Unit, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Immigration Department, Department of Human Services, the Alternative Care Unit, Interpol Belize, and various non-governmental organizations. Authorities allege that Urbina was involved in trafficking 2 women for both forced labor and sexual exploitation. She appeared before the court and was subsequently released on bail under rigorous conditions, which include a bail amount of $10,000 with 2 sureties, surrender of all travel documents, a ban on leaving the country, a prohibition on contacting the victims or witnesses, and bi-weekly check-ins at the Orange Walk Police Station. Today, when speaking about the case, Honorable Thea Ramirez, Minister of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs, told the media there is enough evidence for a conviction.
I am assured that in this case, that the authorities are convinced that they will have a conviction. So, we do our best to support. At the ministry, we have the coordination for the ATIPS. And so, it's various partners, and they come together to ensure that the work is done. And so, I know for that particular person, this is the 2nd time that they've been charged, and hopefully we can get a conviction this time as well. Well, recently, the ministry has supported the police department with much needed equipment in order to be able to garner more evidence and evidence that could be taken up to the police, and so charges are not only put but also stick, and we have conviction. I know there's a lot of problems with having the conviction stick, and so with speaking to the police department, a lot of it was equipment, and so we have supported that that need, fill that gap, and so I think that moving forward, we will see more people charged and more people convicted. Trafficking is a serious, serious crime, one that we take very seriously. We take all the tips and the calls, and there are investigations. There is, reconnaissance work, and there is evidence gathering.
Scheduled for further proceedings on January 16, 2026. Members of the public are encouraged to report any suspicions of trafficking immediately through the following channels: police at 911, human services at 0800 PROTECT, and Crime Stopper Belize at 922, or via the P3 Tips mobile app. On Thursday, we told you about the decision of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, to withdraw the charge against 21-year-old Christy Guzman in relation to the shooting death of Belmopan resident Wilson Hernandez in late August. Guzman had been accused of pulling the trigger from off the licensed firearm that killed Hernandez during a heated confrontation in Belmopan. The tragic chain of events began with a late-night argument between Hernandez and his common-law wife, Dalia Veos, Guzman's aunt. The dispute spilled onto the street in front of their home. During the chaos, Veos handed her licensed gun to Guzman, who later fired the shot that ended Hernandez's life. Surveillance footage captured much of the confrontation, but according to Deputy DPP Javier Chan, a crucial detail was not recorded: that Hernandez was allegedly choking Veos moments before the shooting. Chan said that available evidence showed the bullet first struck Hernandez's arm before entering his torso and damaging vital organs. After reviewing the case, the DPP's office concluded that Guzman did not intend to kill Hernandez and fired in defense of her aunt. Meanwhile, Veos recently issued a public statement asserting that the shooting was not premeditated and occurred after what she described as years of abuse in the relationship. She maintained that her niece acted in fear and in an attempt to protect her. But Hernandez's family is far from satisfied. They argue that the outcome denies their loved one the justice he deserves, and say the decision to drop the charges has left them with more questions than answers. Family members insist they will continue to push for accountability as they grapple with their loss.
Heartbroken, sad, the fact that, he lost his life, and that's the way how they're seeing it, that they don't deserve to get charged. Like, it's more heartbreaking to know that his life is just gonna be gone like that, no kind of justice. Why I believe that it was planned was the fact that when he got shot, my little sister ran out, and you could see her in the camera where she's like stepping back, and she's like, Wilson, and she's screaming, and my mom said Dalia's reaction was, Christy, what did you do? And then by that time Wilson fell on the ground and he started bleeding through his mouth, and that's where they wanted to put him in the vehicle so that they could go. Before Dalia ever even moved, Dalia got the gun from her niece, put it back in her purse, and walked towards the vehicle. Listen, if you see someone get shot in front of you, your first reaction is to try to help, try to do something. Their reaction to it didn't seem as something like, oh my God, it was a mistake, or like shock.
The case, which has stirred strong emotions in both families, now appears legally closed. But the call for justice from Hernandez's relatives remains loud and unresolved. A 29-year-old woman from Western Belize has been officially taken into custody and charged with 14 counts of theft. The investigation into the matter began on Thursday, July 10th, after Vicky Andrea Quetzal, a 38-year-old Belizean manager at Biomeds Limited, filed a report with the police. Quetzal stated that an internal audit revealed that during the months of May and June 2025, a former employee, Mitseli Sujeli Cruz, had illicitly diverted funds amounting to $18,322.50 from the company's accounts, collected from multiple clients. Following a thorough inquiry, Cruz was formally detained and charged on Thursday, November 13th in connection with the alleged theft. Prime Minister John Briceño, who recently announced changes in the cabinet portfolio allocations, might be looking at a second round of deliberations among government officials. That's because word is that Henry Usher has expressed a strong preference to remain in his current position rather than assume the responsibilities of the Home Affairs portfolio. We understand Usher has emphasized that his primary focus remains on ensuring continuity and effective service delivery in his existing role in the public sector. We are told he met with the Prime Minister today, where a lengthy discussion was held on the matter. The rumor mill also indicates that Oscar Mira is willing to take on the responsibility of Home Affairs alongside his current duties, managing defense and border security. Home Affairs, often considered a politically sensitive portfolio due to its close ties to crime and security issues, continues to be one of the most challenging positions within the cabinet. Of note is that the new portfolios announced by the Prime Minister on Tuesday come into effect on Monday, November 17th. New motorcycle laws in Belize, approved by the cabinet in late October 2025 and expected to take effect in November 2025, require mandatory training and certification for Class D license applicants. Other new measures include strengthened breathalyzer laws, stricter regulations on tinted windows, and the creation of a separate licensing regime for motorcycle dealers and repair shops. These changes aim to address a recent rise in motorcycle accidents and improve overall road safety, according to Minister of Transport, Louis Zabane.
In the case of motorcycles specifically, it's about safety. We have a situation where there are a very large number of motorcycles being sold into the market. It's obviously a cheap means of transportation, and we understand that our people who need to move around, transportation is an important part of life. And so they go and they buy these motorcycles, but it's unregulated. So we're bringing in the whole area of those of dealership, of having the rights to sell vehicles legally. We're bringing motorcycle into the act so that those people who are then authorized to sell motorcycles will have to pay a fee and then share information with us on how many motorcycles are being sold, and of course ensure that when the motorcycles are sold, they're also sold with a certified helmet. And so that is part of the modernization that we're going through. We also have increased the fines for motorcycle riders who are not following the rules of the road. In addition to that, there's going to be a requirement that our motorcycle license holders must do a 2-week course to become certified to ride a motorcycle. Okay, so we're going to be offering a 2-year period for everybody to be to go through that process, and any new, of course, new applicant, and this will be effective January 1st.
Of note is that motorcycle-related accidents are one of the leading causes of road fatalities in Belize. According to official data in 2024, there were 107 fatal accidents, of which 48 involved motorcycles. Comparatively, in 2025, there have been 66 fatal accidents so far, with 28 involving motorcycles. Coming up next, high-level meeting held between Belizean and Mexican officials at the Corozal Commercial Free Zone. Several topics were discussed, including best practices in combating gender-based violence. Stay tuned.
It is truly an honor to stand here today as a part of the Self-Phone Repair Training Program. A program that has not only taught us a valuable technical skill, but also empower us as women to step into a field that is often seen as male-dominated. We learn how to open up phones, identify parts, common problems, and even fix these issues on our own. We have not only learned a new trade, but we have proven that women can do anything we set our minds to.
I am forever grateful for this experience. This course was amazing, and I bet these ladies have that knowledge now, and nobody's gonna take away that knowledge that we have.
So it's an opportunity for you to start to figure out the way forward and to be able to market to your community.
When women are empowered and they're productive, they produce, GDP grows, and we're all more productive and better off as an entire country. So they're investing in you, and they fully expect that you guys are going to go out and work and make your community better, make your families better, and then the country as a consequence is going to be so much better because of your hard work. I want to thank you for believing in yourself, for having the confidence to at least attempt something new. And in the future, I want you to continue to take chances, to challenge yourself, not to underestimate what you can do and try new things, because a lot of times people need just one chance.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
How green the grass is over there, you belong here with us.
Welcome to the overworld. Anything you can dream about here?
Some things are gonna come out about me. I can't live with it no more.
Put a track lock on itself. Who moves, I want to know.
Hoy te vamos a contar un cuento basado en una historia real. Chao Dengue, capítulo 1. Síntomas del dengue. Había una vez una familia que, sin saberlo, llevaba consigo un visitante no deseado. No era un monstruo ni un fantasma, pero sí algo que podía debilitar su cuerpo y robarle la energía. Pronto llegaron la fiebre, acompañada de dolor de cabeza, principalmente detrás de los ojos, dolor de cuerpo, náuseas y un sarpullido que se enrojecía por su piel. ¿Qué debían hacer en ese momento? Lo primero era no caer en la automedicación. En la mente del padre resonaban las palabras de los expertos. La clave está en buscar ayuda temprana. Así que, sin dudarlo, se dirigió a la unidad de salud más cercana, donde le brindaron la atención necesaria. Pero la historia no termina ahí. Si alguien en su familia también enfrentaba la misma situación, era enviado a su hogar con una lista de recomendaciones para ser cuidado allí. El reposo se convertía en su mejor escudo y la hidratación en su arma más poderosa. Abundante líquido y, sobre todo, sales de rehidratación oral serían sus aliados en la recuperación. La familia aprendió que la acción temprana podía marcar la diferencia para que esta historia tenga un final feliz. Y colorín colorado, la salud hay que cuidarla en todos lados.
Is your internet struggling to reach every corner of your home? Say goodbye to dead zones. Introducing Villo, your ultimate solution for seamless internet coverage. Whether you're streaming, gaming, working from home, or scrolling through social media, Villo delivers a fast, reliable Wi-Fi where you need it most. As a valued Centaur internet customer, you can be one of the first to access Villo free of cost. For more information, call 380-0101.
Yesterday, we told you about a high-level meeting held at the Corozal Free Zone between officials from the Office of the Prime Minister of Belize and the government of Belize and their counterparts from the Mexican state of Quintana Roo. The discussions focused on enhancing regional cooperation, trade, and joint initiatives to benefit both nations. According to Minister of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs, Honorable Thea Ramirez, who led the Belizean delegation, a significant portion of the dialogue centered on strengthening economic ties as parties agreed to review and update existing Memoranda of Understanding, MOUs, between Belize's Ministry of Investment and Quintana Roo's Secretaría de Desarrollo Económico, as well as between the Corozal Free Zone and the Recinto Fiscalizado Estratégico de Chetumal.
Well, that is a follow-up meeting from the first point of encounter at the summit, the investment summit, earlier this year. And so what follows is just a point of encounter with Mexican officials to renew a memorandum of understanding in order for that to be the framework under which to continue working across both borders. As you know, also earlier in the year, PM Briceño had a very successful trilateral meeting in Calakmul, Mexico, with President of Mexico, President Sheinbaum, and also with President Arevalo from Guatemala. So they all met in Calakmul to discuss, among other things, Tren Maya and the movement of possibly a tourism and ecological corridor. And so with that in mind and those developments, I think there is a great opportunity for collaboration between Mexico and Belize in so many different areas. But of course, all of this needs a framework to work under. So
during the meeting, representatives engaged in technical talks on other key issues, including strategies to increase information sharing and best practices in combating gender-based violence, initiatives to address beach erosion along Chetumal Bay, and the coordination of developmental projects. Participants also explored the introduction of a border pass for residents of Belize and the 5 southern Mexican states, aiming to facilitate easier cross-border movement.
And my interest as Minister of Human Development, Family Support and Gender Affairs is to explore possibilities to look at best practices, what has worked, what hasn't worked, in terms of social safety nets and residences for children and women, vulnerable families in Mexico, and how we could maybe exchange technical information in that regard. So there's also earlier this year, Cabinet approved the removal of fees, among them the exit tax for Mexicans, and following that, and a few of the other fees, to make travel between Mexico and Belize easier, freer. So the Mexican officials were indeed elated to learn of that, and so they will ensure that the 5 neighboring states, the southern states in Mexico, which are Chiapas, Campeche, Quintana Roo, Yucatan, and Tabasco. Now we need to ensure that those people there know that they can come and get a card free of cost and be able to travel for 7 days within Belizean territory with no fees, no exit tax. So that will make it easier for them. There's an estimated 1.2 million visitors to the free zone. Among them, they're mostly Mexican. And so if we could get just a fraction of that going through Belize and obviously through my home district of Corozal, that would be a big boost for Corozal. And so that is also my interest. Also best practices in terms of erosion and in terms of coastal zone management in the term of erosion. If those of you have gone to Chetumal know they have a very beautiful boulevard, and they have some of the same kind of topography that Corozal has, and we're battling with erosion and with sinkholes. And so I thought that maybe some technical assistance in that regard might well help us.
Representing Quintana Roo were notable officials including Carlos Imanol Reyes, Director General of the Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores, Artemio Santos Santos, Coordinador General de Asesores del Despacho de la Gobernadora, Antonio Benítez Domínguez, Subsecretario de Desarrollo Económico, and other senior officials. The National Assembly in Belmopan came alive today as the voices of Belize's youngest leaders echoed through its chambers during the 5th Annual National Children's Parliament. The special sitting gathered youth parliamentarians alongside members of parliament, teachers, principals, and proud parents as they tackled some of the most pressing issues facing children and adolescents across the country. At the center of this year's session was the introduction of the Adolescent Preventative Health Protection Bill, a bold proposal aimed at empowering adolescents to independently access preventative health services and reliable health information. If enacted, the bill would require health professionals to apply the Fraser Guidelines when assessing an adolescent's capacity to consent, uphold strict confidentiality, and ensure that all health facilities provide adolescent-friendly care.
Madam Speaker, I rise today with great pride and a deep sense of responsibility as the youth parliamentarian for Orange Walk East to address this honorable house on an issue that strikes at the heart of our nation's future: the right of adolescents in Belize to access preventive health services. Madam Speaker, imagine being a teenager who feels unwell but cannot see a doctor because a parent or guardian is not around. For many young people, it is not imagination, it is reality. Preventive health care is not just about treating illness, it's about empowerment. It gives our youth the confidence, knowledge, and freedom to take charge of their own health. Adolescence is a critical and vulnerable stage, yet many young people stay silent due to fear, stigma, or lack of confidential care. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reports that adolescents under 19 account for nearly 16% of all mental health cases. Yet, structured youth screening programs remain limited. Madam Speaker, allowing our youths to access counselors without parental consent can let them seek the support they need before reaching crisis. We must also face the facts, Madam Speaker. The United Nations reports that 11% of girls aged 15 to 19 are already mothers. Often, parental consent requirements often restrict the access to reproductive health services like contraception and STI testing that protect rather than promote sexual activity. UNICEF's Adolescent Health Strategic Plan calls for confidential youth-friendly care as a national priority, a call we must answer.
Leader of the opposition, Gracelyn Gutierrez, acknowledged Belize's need for stronger adolescent health protections, but urged caution. She called for broader consultation before moving forward, voicing concerns about allowing adolescents aged 14 and up to access services such as vaccinations, mental health screening, counseling, and sexual health care without the involvement or consent of a parent.
Let me be clear. From the outset, the principle of ensuring our young people have better access to health service is one that, in theory, every member on this side of the House can support. The health of our future generation is paramount. However, Madam Speaker, while we commend
On the government side, Prime Minister Camila Callis offered an impassioned defense of the bill, highlighting topics like mental health and sexual health, which are often considered taboo, leaving many young adolescents without spaces to voice their concerns.
Let me be clear. From the outset, the principle of ensuring our young people have better access to health service is one that, in theory, every member on this side of the House can support. The health of our future generation is paramount. However, Madam Speaker, while we commend this honorable House for tackling the issue of the gap between those with the age of consent and access to preventive care, we must scrutinize the methods proposed in this draft bill. A closer look reveals a potentially damaging disregard for the role of the family and significant legal obscurity that will create chaos and not clarity. This bill, in its current form, is a step too far, too fast, and on a too shaky legal foundation. It attempts to grant adolescents aged 14 and older the right to vast range of services, including vaccination, mental health screening, counseling, and comprehensive reproductive and sexual health service, all without parental consent. This bill only allows for disclosure in limited circumstances, such as immediate risk of harm or diagnosis of a life-threatening condition. Tell me, why should a life-threatening condition be the only trigger for involving a parent? We are asking parents to trust the healthcare system to take over one of their most sacred duties. And that, Madam Speaker, is simply unacceptable. We are importing a concept akin to the Fraser Guidelines from the United Kingdom and mature and minor doctrine from countries like Canada. But we are applying it to a broader suite of services. We are just not applying it to reproductive health, but routine checkups and vaccination. We are asking a general practitioner or nurse to make a complex, subjective, legal, and psychological judgment on the spot. What clinical guidance is being provided? How will this assessment be standardized? The bill simply says providers must explain benefits and risks in language appropriate to the adolescents. This level of ambiguity will lead to inconsistency and liability nightmares for our healthcare professionals. This bill, as draft, is not an answer. It's a problem disguised as a solution. It threatens the family, it compromises clinical practice, and it fails to establish a clear legal framework.
The National Children's Parliament, now a hallmark event in Belize's observance of Universal Children's Month, is made possible through collaboration between the National Commission for Families and Children, the Office of the Special Envoy for Women and Children, UNICEF, and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Technology. and Development, Honorable Thea Ramirez Garcia, joined the young parliamentarians in Belmopan today as part of the 5th Annual National Children's Parliament, an event dedicated to amplifying the perspectives of children and adolescents in Belize. Following the event today, Mr. Garcia Ramirez congratulated the young leaders for their confidence, preparation, and commitment to national dialogue. She emphasized that youth involvement is not symbolic, but essential to crafting policies that genuinely reflect their lived experiences.
I think they did wonderfully. I'm amazed at the in-depth research that has gone into it. The presentation of the debate, the arguments, well put together and delivered in a most extraordinary way. So I think that the entire nation of Belize ought to be very, very proud today because their young people came out and represented well. And I go home today really, really, really proud and confident that the future of Belize lies in very good hands with our young people.
How were the topics chosen?
The topics are always chosen by the young people. The cohort is put together, I think early next year, in the calendar year, the advertisements go out for people to apply, and they come in and they're the ones that discuss and decide on their topic for debate.
The minister noted that the Children's Parliament is more than a ceremonial exercise. It is a platform that nurtures civic engagement, strengthens public speaking skills, and empowers young Belizeans to participate in governance.
I think that we have a very young population and a very young voting population, and it's always very refreshing to hear the youth point of view, what is important to them, what their concerns are, and the possible solutions. So I think we can't go wrong when we give a platform to young people and we actually listen to them and put forward their ideas and see where it goes. I am sure that the cabinet was listening, and I saw various parliamentarians make the effort to come around, and I am assured that they are each looking forward to tonight to actually listening to their youth counterpart argue. I've already received messages from various ministers and members of parliament expressing their pride and their joy at seeing the young people. So I'm very, very elated, and let's see how it goes.
The Briceño administration is set to launch the Consolidated National Bus Company, a new public-private partnership, in January 2026. This initiative aims to modernize the country's bus systems by consolidating existing operators, which the government hopes will lead to improved safety, efficiency, and service through upgraded buses and terminals. As of late 2025, 71% of bus operators have agreed to join the new company, which plans to introduce upgraded, safer, and more efficient buses, including some electric options, and improved terminals nationwide. In the area of energy-efficient buses, the Minister of Transport and his team recently visited Taiwan and South Korea to learn more about their intercity bus systems.
We recently returned from a visit to Taiwan and to South Korea. We went there in particular because we wanted to learn more about their intercity bus systems, engage with manufacturers of buses, and be able to have enough information to do the analysis of what would be the best mix of buses for the new company that we're in the process of forming. We have seen where manufacturers are willing to look at a proposal from us because we're seeking 150 new buses that would renew the entire fleet for the 21 operators who have agreed voluntarily to be a part of the public-private partnership up to this point.
As to the audit process, to determine the value of participating companies to establish an opening balance sheet for equity participation that has been completed.
Now, in fact, today, we're getting the final one from them, of the 21 operators, right? So the next step now is that by next Friday, we'll be getting what we call the opening balance sheet, right? Which means an indicative opening balance sheet that will show the portion of the value of the government's inputs, which will be the terminals, the portion that will be the operators that come on board in the company, and then the third portion will be the equity that we will need to invest in it by an institutional investor for new terminals. So we need new terminals in Punta Gorda, in San Ignacio, in Benque, in Orange Rock, and one here in Belize City as well.
Belize today joined countries around the world in observing World Diabetes Day, shining a spotlight on one of the nation's most pressing public health challenges. From health fairs and free screenings to community walks and awareness sessions, activities were held across the country to encourage early detection, prevention, and better management of the disease. Diabetes remains one of the leading causes of death in Belize, and health officials warn that the number of Belizeans living with the condition continues to rise. As part of today's observance, local internist Dr. Marvin Manzanero shared insight into the state of diabetes in Belize and emphasized the need for sustained public education.
Projections that you would see statistically on pages such as the International Diabetes Federation would normally do estimates based on what we would report periodically, which is usually adult population, those ages 20 to 79. So today's World Diabetes Day, this has been observed since 1991, and it is precisely a day set aside to highlight the growing prevalence and incidence we have of diabetes, not only in Belize, globally, but the IDF data would suggest that Belize has the third highest prevalence rate in the Latin American and Caribbean region. As an internist, it is worrisome because we do continuously see a significant amount of patients showing up with recent diagnosis of diabetes. But more concerning is that some people are showing up with complications of diabetes. People are already having some kind of kidney dysfunction. Some people are already having problems with their eyesight and cardiac problems. And that is where the concern is, because the numbers, as you have pointed out and as the data suggests, continue to escalate significantly.
According to Dr. Manzanero, lifestyle factors continue to be a major contributors to the growing burden of diabetes, including poor diet, physical inactivity, and genetic predisposition. He explained that the disease often goes undetected in its early stages, making regular checkups critical.
You highlight something that's very important, because when I was in med school, genetics was a key factor that we would consider in diabetes and other chronic diseases. However, the data doesn't suggest that that is actually the case. Most of the patients I see are related to what we call environmental social factors, which means that because I have patients coming up to tell me there's nobody that's diabetic in my family, it seems that I'm the first one. So it has to do primarily with what we eat, what we drink, and the fact that we don't do physical activity. So those are the drivers, and which is why I said Diabetes Day is observed as of 1991, precisely to highlight these situations that are happening. And it's affecting more the lower and middle income countries, right? And so It's more an environmental situation more than a genetic situation. And in the case of Belize, we talk about diabetes mellitus type 2 because people are concerned about type 1, type 2. Most of the cases are type 2. And we are increasingly seeing these cases in younger populations, right? I'm seeing patients as young as 20 years showing up with diabetes type 2. And this is, of course, a full-blown diabetes, people who show with all the signs and symptoms, but we have to factor in the ones that are pre-diabetic, and a growing concern and population would be those who have what you would call insulin resistance.
Poorly managed, diabetes can lead to serious and life-threatening complications, including kidney failure, blindness, heart disease, limb amputations, and nerve damage. Dr. Manzanero stressed that while the statistics are concerning, diabetes is manageable and often quite preventable. With healthier habits, routine monitoring, and access to quality medical care.
Well, they are linked. You see, most people will assume that diabetes, I think the fear that most people have is amputation of your feet, right? That's the more drastic thing that people think of. But once you are diabetic, even if it's properly controlled, you are what we would call in a pro-inflammatory phase, right? Your body is already having a pro-inflammatory situation. Just because you're diabetic, your risk of having a stroke or a heart attack is increased. And every single day that your glucose is higher than it should be, that risk is exponentially increased. So don't shy away from the fact that cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death. More than likely, those patients have diabetes as an underlying situation that is contributing to you having a heart attack, is contributing to you having a stroke. Diabetes is one of the leading causes of blindness. Diabetes is the leading cause of amputations. It is a primary reason why males will have sexual dysfunction in terms of having erectile dysfunction. But these are the things we normally don't want to talk about, right? So you're talking about blindness, strokes, heart attacks, people going into kidney failure and requiring dialysis, sexual dysfunction and amputation of your extremities, and you have diabetes being a primary contributor to all of these entities.
There's more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Personally, I want to thank the GOB, Government of Belize, for giving Ecumenical College its fair share of these Chromebooks.
We used to get our work done and learn on the typewriter. In the last 25 years, we have seen a complete transformation.
It is my esteemed pleasure to give a heartfelt thank you to the Ministry of Education and most notably to the Minister of Education, Mr. Rekenya, and his team for this tremendous donation to our school and our students. Please note that this gesture speaks volume to your dedication to our education system.
Basketball fans, the NBA season is back and more electrifying than ever.
Forever.
Witness every battle, every dunk, and every overhead and back pass with Centaur's Express Plus app. This season is a must-watch event packed with heart-stopping moments and unforgettable plays. Don't miss out. Stream all the action live on the Centaur's Express Plus app.
Hey, drop James Harden's ass!
Express Plus, your front row seat to the 2025 NBA season.
In partnership with the University of Colorado and the Belize Police Department, the Pan American Health Organization / World Health Organization, PAHO/WHO, hosted a 2-day workshop on the Community First Aid Response, CFAR, learning program. The training, attended by 60 police officers from across the country, focused on enhancing their ability to respond to emergencies within their communities. The CFAR program, developed by the WHO, aimed to empower community members to provide essential emergency care in situations where access to formal healthcare may be delayed. The training was particularly important in rural and undeserved areas, where officers may be the first responders in critical situations. The program trained the officers to recognize medical emergencies, administer life-saving interventions, and support emergency medical services until professional help arrives. By integrating police officers into the emergency response system, the CFAR initiative helps to reduce response times and improve overall care. Through this training, the 60 police officers will be able to identify signs of medical and traumatic emergencies, understand the importance of scene safety for responders and patients, perform basic life-saving techniques such as cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, wound care, and first aid, and provide clear and concise handovers to medical professionals. The workshop combined interactive lectures, case studies, and hands-on practice, ensuring that officers developed both theoretical knowledge and practical skills necessary for effective emergency response. Students from high schools across the country today engaged in a lively debate with experts in gender-based violence, mental health awareness, building healthy relationships, domestic violence awareness, and gender awareness, as part of the final forum of the Engaging Men and Boys to Advocate Gender Equality and Help Prevent Gender-Based Violence training. Made possible through a partnership between the Office of the Special Envoy of the Developmental of Families and Children's, the Spouses of CARICOM, Leaders Action Network, and the Taiwan Technical Mission. This training aims to empower boys and girls with the tools and awareness to become advocates for eliminating gender-based violence. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Monday, November 17th, here on CTV3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at www.ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log onto our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3, have a safe and pleasant weekend. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a splendid night.